Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making eggnog. It's that time of year, we always make eggnog in our family and it's something we really love. One of the reasons we do it, apart from tasting much better than the store-bought stuff, we know what's in it and we have an abundance of eggs because we have our own chickens. So it's a really good way of using up some eggs and making something really fun and festive for the festive period, and it also lasts a few weeks. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints from my home garden, my home kitchen and also my allotment. Now first of all, we have a recipe here. So I've got, I have to put everything into a saucepan and warm it through. So 700 ml of whole milk. So I've got one of these scales that you can set to 0, so I don't have to keep measuring every single thing out. So 700 ml of milk. That all goes in. It does make a fair amount, but it will last a little while. So 700 ml of milk, then 240 ml of cream. Now the tub I've got is 300 ml, so it's up to you whether you save a bit for something else, but I'm just going to chuck it all in. It's only a rough guide of what you put in. So 3 cinnamon sticks. If you've not got cinnamon, you could just use ground cinnamon. So it says in here a vanilla pod. Well, I haven't got one, so I've just got some really good quality extract. So I'm going to put a teaspoon in, quite a generous teaspoon. And then you want some grated nutmeg. So on the instructions it says a teaspoon. I've only got the whole nutmegs. So what I generally do is I kind of do it by eye. Obviously if you've already got ground nutmeg you can use that, or you can just do what I'm doing. So I actually think that freshly ground is actually much nicer and has actually more flavour personally. A bit of a time consuming job this. I kind of try and gauge it with how much of it's gone. You have to be a bit careful with your fingers when you're grating nutmeg. If you get a bit too close, it's always worth just getting another one out so you don't take your fingers off. There we go, that'll do. Give it a good tap. So I've got all my core ingredients in the saucepan, and now what I've got to do is warm it up to boiling point. So I'm going to take it over to the hob. I'm going to warm the milk up to boiling point. So I've had this on the hob for a few minutes. I've been gently warming it up and giving it a stir just to make sure that it doesn't catch. Now it's just about come up to the boil, so what I'm going to do is turn it off and leave the flavours to steep while I get on with the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to turn that off and just leave that to it. As part of it, the infusion of the flavours really do benefit. So now what I need to do is I need to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. Now I've got 5 eggs here. So I've got 2 containers, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2 bottles. So I will finish one bottle off first and have that 1 week, and then I will save the other one for another week. So I've separated the egg yolks from the egg whites. The egg whites are here, and I've separated them into 2 tubs because this is going to make 2 bottles, and putting the egg whites in is the last thing you do just before you drink it. So I'll make one lot one day, and then maybe the next week I'll make the next lot, so I want to keep them separate. You can just pop them in the freezer if you don't think you're going to drink the eggnog straight away as well. So the egg yolks are here in there, and I just need to put 130 grams of sugar in. So just normal box standard granulated sugar. And then I'll just whisk it up with my food mixer. So the egg and the sugar has been whisked, and it's whisked to thick ribbons. So when you lift the whisk up, you get thick ribbons coming off of it. I've now let this cool down a little bit, but what I do need to do, I can't whisk it in with the cinnamon. So if you lift the cinnamon sticks out, because this would have infused flavour into the milk. So I'm just going to take those out. Be a bit fiddly to chase around the bottom of the bowl. So there we go. I can already smell the cinnamon and nutmeg. Absolutely fantastic. I reckon I could drink it like this now. So this has cooled down a little bit. So now what I need to do, I need to pour it in to the food mixer and whisk it slowly and put a little bit in at a time. If I put it in too quickly, it could scramble. So you must do it really gently. So I'm going to put it on the lowest setting and gently pour it in. Pouring in a little bit at a time, and this is just the last little bit, like so. And now I just need to add the alcohol. Now you can either use bourbon or you can use rum, and you don't even have to add alcohol, but quite frankly it would be rude not to, in my opinion. So you need 175 ml. So that's the one thing I'm going to measure out separately, so you don't want to get that wrong. So just measure it. It's going to have a bit of a kick, for sure. And then you just pour that in like so. That smells absolutely fantastic. So that's all combined, and now I'm just going to put it into some bottles. Now it needs to stay in the bottles for a day or two because that's when the flavours really infuse. Like I said, I've got 2 bottles there because once you've whisked in the egg whites, you then only have a couple of days to drink it in. So I'm going to put them equally as best I can into the 2 bottles. So obviously I whisked it up in here, but it'd be really fiddly to pour that into that. So what I've done is I've poured it into a large jug, so that's definitely a real top tip. And obviously cleaned these bottles thoroughly, and I've got a funnel, so all I have to do is just pour it through the top, like so, really gently, because we don't want to waste any of this precious liquid. So that's one. Give it a tap. Take it over to the next one and do the same thing. Pour it into the jug first. Makes life a lot easier. Like I said, it smells divine already. But I will leave this for a couple of days just so the flavours fully develop. So I've poured the mixture in between 2 bottles. Just to warn you, where you've whisked it up, you will get a little bit of foam. So I've had to pour a bit in, wait for the foam to go down a little bit, and then top it up. So if you get that, don't let it concern you. Now, these are both full up, so obviously I'm going to take the funnel out and get rid of that. These clip top bottles are really handy. I'm now going to put these in the fridge and let them cool down. These can actually, at this point, stay in the fridge for a couple of weeks if you want them to. They're perfectly good, and you can put your egg whites in the freezer. I'm going to show you next how you then add the egg whites to it and you then drink it. So, but for now, I'm going to put these in the fridge and let them cool down. So the mixture has been sitting in a cool place. We've got a very cold conservatory. It's a bit like a fridge, so that's been in there for a couple of days. So all the spices are infusing in there and the flavour is deepening. Now I'm going to mix it up so it's ready to drink. Now, as I said, I'm not going to mix both these bottles up. So I've got 2 bottles here, but I'm just going to do 1 bottle now that I'm going to drink over the next couple of days. Because once you've mixed the egg whites in with this, you then have to drink it in a couple of days. So this bottle is going to stay in my cold conservatory or my fridge, and it can stay in there for a week or 2, and you can mix the rest of the egg whites in later. I'm going to freeze the other part of the egg whites and I'll defrost them when I'm ready to do that. So I'll discard that bottle and I'll just be using this bottle. So I've got my half the egg whites here in this little pot, and I'm going to pour it into the food mixer, and I'm going to whisk that to stiff white peaks. So I've whisked the egg whites to stiff white peaks. So just take the whisk off, give it a tap, don't want to waste any of the ingredients. Now all you do now to finish it off is you just gently fold this in. So if I pour that in and you will lose a little bit of the volume. I'm actually going to give that a little bit of a shake so I don't lose any of the spices. So I can see them sticking to the side of the bottle, and I don't want to lose any of the lovely nutmeg flavour. So I'm going to pour all that in. So as I fold this in, all I'm trying to do is incorporate it. I will lose some of the volume of the egg whites, but whipping them up is only just to improve the texture as you're drinking it. So, you know, you're not trying to make a meringue or anything. Whipping it up just gives it a smoother and more pleasant consistency. So it might take a little bit of stirring to get all those lumps really combined. And like I say, now I've stirred this in, I can obviously drink this straight away, but it will last for a couple of days like this, although to be fair, it probably won't last for a couple of days because I'm sure my husband will enjoy drinking it. I will definitely enjoy drinking it, and when word gets out that I've made this, I will no doubt have a few friends and family that want to give it a good sample. So you'll find a few little lumps there, and again, just keep stirring and pushing up against the side of the bowl, so you get rid of all the lumps. But that is beautifully and smooth, and obviously you could do with smell-o-vision because it smells absolutely fantastic. Now, if you want to serve it straight away, one of the easiest ways is just to use a ladle, or I could funnel it back into the bottle and then keep it in the fridge. It's really up to you. So let's spoon a little bit out, and as you can see, it's lovely and thick. So that is completely different to anything you would get out of a bottle, and all is left for me to do now is to say cheers, and I hope you enjoy making some too.